Imagine sitting quietly in a family home and suddenly hearing the one sentence that makes everyone stop talking. Tian Xiwei's grandfather looked at her with tears in his eyes and revealed something she had never known. He told her that Zhang Linghe had once made a sacrifice for her that nobody outside the family knew about. A sacrifice so painful that he had chosen to keep it completely private. Tian Xiwei could hardly believe what she was hearing. She turned toward Zhang Linghe. He looked away. And in that single moment, she realized that there was something he had deliberately hidden from her. Something he had done because he loved her. Something he had sacrificed without expecting praise. Something that could completely change the way she understood their relationship. Before we reveal the sacrifice that left Tian Xiwei struggling to hold back her tears, make sure you stay until the end and tell me what you would do if the person you loved secretly gave up something important just to protect your happiness. Would you be grateful? Would you be angry that they kept it from you? Or would you simply hold them close and thank them for loving you that deeply? Because Tian Xiwei was about to discover that sometimes the greatest sacrifices are the ones nobody sees. The story began on an ordinary evening. There was nothing unusual about the family gathering. Tian Xiwei had arrived earlier that afternoon. She had spent time talking with her grandfather, laughing about old memories and enjoying the peaceful atmosphere of the family home. Zhang Linghe was there too. He was respectful and quiet, just as he always tried to be around her family. But something about him seemed different. Tian Xiwei noticed that he was unusually quiet. Whenever she asked him what was wrong, he smiled and told her that everything was fine. She believed him, at least for a while. Her grandfather, however, had noticed something. He had been watching Zhang Linghe carefully. He knew something Tian Xiwei did not know, and he had been debating whether he should tell her. Eventually, he decided that the truth could no longer remain hidden. The family was sitting together when her grandfather suddenly asked Zhang Linghe a question. "Do you remember what you promised me?" Zhang Linghe immediately became serious. Tian Xiwei looked between them. "Promise? What promise?" Her grandfather looked at her. Then he looked at Zhang Linghe. For several seconds, he said nothing. Finally, he told Tian Xiwei that there was something she needed to know. Something Zhang Linghe had never wanted her to discover. Tian Xiwei's heart began beating faster. She asked what he was talking about. Her grandfather explained that there had been a moment when Zhang Linghe had been forced to make a difficult decision. At the time, nobody knew how difficult that decision had been for him. Not the public. Not the people around him. Not even Tian Xiwei. Zhang Linghe had faced an opportunity that could have changed his career. It was something he had worked toward for a long time. Something that could have taken him to another level. But accepting the opportunity would have meant spending a huge amount of time away from Tian Xiwei. It would have meant traveling constantly, long periods apart, a schedule that would have left almost no room for the relationship they were trying to build. And Zhang Linghe had been forced to make a choice: career opportunity, or the relationship he was trying to protect. Tian Xiwei listened silently. She still did not understand. Then her grandfather revealed the part that shocked her. Zhang Linghe had walked away. He had turned down the opportunity, not because he disliked acting, not because he had stopped caring about his career, but because he believed that the timing would place an enormous strain on his relationship with Tian Xiwei. He had decided that some opportunities could return, but certain moments in a relationship could not. Tian Xiwei stared at him. She could not speak. She asked why he had never told her. Zhang Linghe remained quiet. Her grandfather answered for him. "Because he did not want you to feel guilty." That sentence changed everything. Zhang Linghe had not wanted Tian Xiwei to believe that she had stolen something from his future. He did not want her to think that he had sacrificed his dreams because of her. He wanted her to believe that he had simply made a decision that felt right to him. Tian Xiwei became emotional. She asked Zhang Linghe whether it was true. He finally nodded. She asked whether he had regretted it. He looked at her and said something she would never forget. "I regretted losing the opportunity, but I never regretted choosing you." Tian Xiwei's eyes immediately filled with tears. She had spent so much time believing that love was about the beautiful moments, the dates, the laughter, the promises, the celebrations. She had never realized that love could also be found in the moments when someone quietly gave something up without asking to be thanked. Her grandfather continued. He explained that Zhang Linghe had never asked him for recognition. He had simply accepted the consequences of his decision. He had continued working. He had continued pursuing his career. But he had also learned to value the time they had together. That was the sacrifice her grandfather had been talking about. It was not simply about turning down one opportunity. It was about choosing what mattered most at a moment when both choices were painful. Tian Xiwei asked her grandfather why he was telling her now. He said because she needed to understand something. She needed to know that Zhang Linghe had already faced a difficult choice for her once. And he had made that decision without demanding anything in return. Her grandfather wanted Tian Xiwei to understand that when Zhang Linghe said he loved her, he was not only talking about beautiful moments. He had already demonstrated that love could require difficult decisions. Tian Xiwei looked at Zhang Linghe again. She asked him why he had kept such a huge secret. He smiled sadly. Because I did not want you to love me because of what I sacrificed. I wanted you to love me because of who I am. Tian Xiwei could no longer hold back her tears. She covered her face for a moment. Then she reached toward him. Zhang Linghe gently took her hand. The room became completely quiet. Even her grandfather looked emotional. He had spent so much time worrying about whether Zhang Linghe could protect Tian Xiwei from the pressures of his career. But now he realized something. Zhang Linghe had already been thinking about her happiness long before anyone asked him to. The grandfather then revealed another part of the story. After turning down that opportunity, Zhang Linghe had gone through a difficult period. He had wondered whether he had made the right decision. He had questioned whether he had sacrificed too much. But whenever those doubts appeared, he reminded himself why he had made the choice. He did not want to lose the person he loved simply because he was afraid of losing an opportunity. Tian Xiwei asked him whether he had ever been angry with her because of it. He immediately said no. She asked whether he ever wished she had known earlier. Again, he said no. He explained that the sacrifice was his decision. He did not want to use it as a reason for her to feel indebted to him. That answer broke her heart even more. Because she realized that he had not sacrificed something so that she would owe him something. He had done it because he genuinely believed it was the right thing to do. Her grandfather watched them carefully. Then he said something that made Tian Xiwei cry even harder. He told her that a person who truly loves you does not always announce every sacrifice they make. Sometimes they simply carry the difficult part themselves. Tian Xiwei looked at her grandfather. Then she looked at Zhang Linghe. She realized that her grandfather had once been afraid of Zhang Linghe's fame. He had worried about the people around him. He had worried about the attention. He had worried about the demands of acting. But now he was beginning to see another side of the man. A side that the public rarely saw. The side that could make a difficult decision quietly. The side that could put someone else's happiness into consideration. The side that did not need applause. The side that did not need anyone to know. That was what changed the grandfather's opinion. He finally told Zhang Linghe that he had misunderstood something. He had believed that fame would make it difficult for Zhang Linghe to put family first. But the sacrifice proved that fame had not erased his ability to care. Instead, it had forced him to become more deliberate about the people he valued. Zhang Linghe responded that he never expected her grandfather to completely trust him. He only wanted the chance to prove himself through his actions. Her grandfather nodded. He told him that perhaps he had already done more than he realized. Tian Xiwei was still holding Zhang Linghe's hand. She asked him whether he would make the same sacrifice again. He smiled. Then he told her that he hoped he would never have to make such a painful choice again. Not because he regretted loving her, but because he wanted a future where love and dreams could exist together. That answer made everyone smile. The conversation had begun with a secret. But it ended with something much more important. Understanding. Tian Xiwei finally realized that the person she loved had been fighting a quiet battle between ambition and responsibility. And Zhang Linghe finally understood that her grandfather had never simply been trying to challenge him. He had been trying to protect the person he loved most. The grandfather then gave Tian Xiwei some advice. He told her that she should never measure love only by sacrifice. Because a healthy relationship should not require someone to constantly destroy their own happiness for another person. Instead, she should look for someone willing to communicate, someone willing to compromise, someone willing to make difficult choices when necessary, someone who would also encourage her to pursue her own dreams. Tian Xiwei nodded. She understood. She realized that the greatest promise between two people was not that they would sacrifice everything. It was that they would never stop trying to find a way forward together. Zhang Linghe looked at her and said that he did not want her to feel responsible for what happened. He wanted her to understand that he had chosen her because he loved her, not because she had forced him, not because her grandfather had demanded it, not because he expected something in return. That distinction mattered. Tian Xiwei reached up and wiped away her tears. She smiled through her emotions. Then she told him that she wished he had told her sooner. He laughed softly. She asked why. He said because she would have cried exactly like this. Everyone laughed. For a moment, the heaviness disappeared, but the emotional meaning remained. Tian Xiwei had learned something that evening that she would never forget. Sometimes love is not loud. Sometimes love does not come with cameras. Sometimes love does not come with dramatic declarations. Sometimes love is simply someone sitting alone with a difficult decision and asking themselves what matters most. That was what Zhang Linghe had done. And perhaps that was why her grandfather finally began to understand him. The grandfather had once been afraid that Zhang Ling's fame would become more important than his family. Now he had seen evidence that the opposite could also be true. A person could have ambition and still care deeply. A person could be successful and still make room for love. A person could be surrounded by attention and still choose one person. That realization softened the grandfather's heart. He looked at Tian Xiwei and told her that he finally understood why she trusted Zhang Linghe. Then he looked at Zhang Linghe. He told him that he was still going to worry. Everyone laughed again. But this time, it was a warm laugh. The grandfather said that worrying was part of being a grandfather. He could not simply stop caring about her future, but he could stop assuming that Zhang Linghe was incapable of protecting her happiness. That was a major change. And Tian Xiwei knew it. She knew her grandfather's approval had never been easy to earn. That was why his words meant so much. As the evening continued, Tian Xiwei quietly asked Zhang Linghe one final question. If you could go back to that day, would you make the same decision again? He looked at her. He smiled. Then he said that he would probably make a different decision. Not because he would choose his career instead, but because he would try to find a way where neither love nor ambition had to be abandoned. Tian Xiwei smiled. That was the answer she wanted. She did not want someone who would sacrifice everything for her. She wanted someone who would build a future with her. And Zhang Linghe wanted exactly the same thing. The grandfather listened quietly. Then he finally said that perhaps that was the real meaning of love. Not choosing one dream over another, but finding a way for two people to protect each other's dreams. The room became quiet again. But this time, the silence felt peaceful. There were no accusations, no demands, no fear, only understanding. And that night, Tian Xiwei discovered something she had never expected. The greatest sacrifice Zhang Linghe had made was not simply giving up an opportunity. It was the willingness to accept uncertainty because he believed their relationship was worth protecting. He had sacrificed comfort. He had sacrificed certainty. He had sacrificed an opportunity that could have changed his career. And he had done it without telling her. Not because he wanted to hide something from her, but because he never wanted his love to become a debt she had to repay. That was the part that touched her most. She finally understood that genuine love should never be used as a weapon. A sacrifice should not become a reason to demand obedience. A difficult decision should not become a tool for control. Instead, love should create understanding, trust, respect, and the courage to make choices together. Tian Xiwei hugged Zhang Linghe. Her grandfather looked away for a moment, pretending not to be emotional. Then he smiled. The evening ended quietly, but the meaning of that conversation would remain with all three of them. For Tian Xiwei, it was a reminder that love could exist in places she never expected. For Zhang Linghe, it was a reminder that family approval was not earned through grand speeches. It was earned through consistent actions. And for her grandfather, it was the moment he finally understood that protecting someone did not always mean keeping them away from every risk. Sometimes protection meant trusting them to choose wisely. And perhaps that was the most beautiful part of the entire story. The sacrifice was not what made Zhang Linghe's love meaningful. The fact that he never expected recognition for it was what made the moment so powerful. Because sometimes the person who loves you most is not the person who tells the world what they have done for you. It is the person who quietly makes a difficult choice and continues walking beside you without asking for applause. That night, Tian Xiwei finally understood. And her grandfather finally understood too. Love was not supposed to be a competition between career and family. It was supposed to be a partnership. A place where two people could dream together. A place where sacrifice could exist without resentment. A place where ambition could exist without destroying trust. And as Tian Xiwei and Zhang Linghe walked away from the family home that evening, neither of them knew exactly what the future would bring. But they knew one thing. Whatever challenges came next, they would face them together. So now I want to hear from you. If someone you loved secretly sacrificed an important opportunity for you, would you feel deeply touched, or would you be upset that they never told you? Would you want them to sacrifice their dream for your relationship, or would you rather help them find a way to protect both their dream and your love? Tell me your answer in the comments. And if this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel, because this story may not end here. The next chapter could reveal the promise Tian Xiwei's grandfather asked Zhang Linghe to make after discovering the sacrifice he had quietly made for her. And that promise could become the most difficult test their relationship has ever faced.